The year 2025 ended on a high note, but it did not start with momentum. For me, it started with grief, losses, and pain. And in this episode, I'll be sharing my reflection and my reset. Pull up a chair and let's get into it. Business can feel very personal and not always in a cozy, fuzzy kind of way. I've figured out a few things along the way and I've got the receipts. Join me as we separate the math from the drama, one business at a time. Let's go. Hey friends, welcome to the Creative Business Mindset Podcast, episode 32. If you've been here all along, welcome back. And if you're new, you're welcome to the family. I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for showing up again and again. This is the first episode of the year and the first of season 2. And it is airing the day after my first book hit the bookshelves. That to me still feels a little surreal to say it out loud. I wrote a book, y'all, and it is published. And everyone everywhere can buy and read this book. More about that later. I closed out last season in November to take the rest of the year off for a reset. And I want to share where I have been and how this next season is going to sound like. 2025 was very heavy for me right out of the gate. There was grief, there was pain, there were losses, hardships, and hospitalization. And by the time spring rolled around, I was exhausted, mentally, spiritually, and physically, and I needed something more than a vacation. So I knew I needed a reset, like a real pause. So I took myself on a 7-day retreat to Bali. It was beautiful, it was quiet, it was intentional. It was exactly what my nervous system needed at the time. And then on day 4 of that retreat, I received news that my mom had passed away. Yes. Life just has a way of not giving you notice. It doesn't offer notice, and it also has a way of meeting you wherever you are. The universe knows how to deal with you, whether you're ready for it or not. But what I realized was that I was in the right place to receive that news. Yes. Would I have loved to be home with my family to deal with the pain together? Of course, to process it together as a family. But at the time I got that news, I was already out of it. I was out of processing. I was out of dealing with pain. I was out of it all. And Bali was a place where I was beginning to find true rest and peace. And I was already being pampered beyond my wildest imagination. But once I heard that news, my hosts, shout out to the people at Goddess Retreats, they turned up the ante, waiting on me, hands and foot, and unending massages, body treatments, day and night, farm-to-table meals, purest refreshments. And this is not a paid ad, but just a gratitude post. And yes, I highly, highly recommend them, Goddess Retreats. This place now holds a sacred place in my heart, and I will be back for sure. Maybe we should make this a group retreat of some sort. Why not? Hey, let's think about that. Anyway, when I got back home though, everyone kept telling me, hold on to the memories. And I knew that they meant well. And this is something that I've said to people that we all say when somebody loses a loved one. Hold on to the memories. But no one really tells you how those memories show up. For me, they didn't come gently. They came like an uncontrolled flood, big giant waves that swallowed me whole at times and consumed my whole being. It was memories from childhood, conversations that I hadn't thought about in years, right? Versions of myself that I hadn't revisited in a long time. And somewhere in the middle of all of that remembering, those stories started turning into a conversation. conversations with my younger self. And I did what I've always done when I don't have the words. I started writing. And first, it was a poetry to my younger self. It turned into a spoken word that I recorded for myself. It's on YouTube if you want to listen to it. And it was just a way to cope. It became a way for me to cope. Writing was somewhere to put the weight of what I was carrying. It was so heavy, but the writing didn't stop. It just kept coming. Page after page, story after story, memory after memory. And some of these were things I subconsciously didn't want to tell. Stories I had avoided, stories that had been tugging at my heart quietly for years. Writing became my therapy, and that therapy became a book. Hey, quick word before we continue. If you're afraid to start a new venture, or you're ready for the next step but not sure how to get there, I want to invite you to join me inside Business Therapy at jokedurojaye.me. This is where we take it to the next level. We talk it out and map out your next steps so you can move forward with clarity and confidence. jokedurojaye.me. I'll leave a link for you in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the episode. The book, Unmute Yourself, that is the title. It is a memoir of faith, and it is a letter to my younger self. It is about becoming, about grief, identity, courage, and what it looks like to keep moving forward while honoring where you've been, letting go of parts that no longer served me, the truths that have guided me, the stories that shaped who I am and who I'm becoming. If you have ever felt unseen, if you've ever felt like you're too late or you're feeling lost on the way to becoming someone new, you will recognize yourself in these pages that I have written for me, for you, and for all of us. If you're watching this in real time, yesterday the book finally launched, January 1st. And having this episode air right after feels intentional because this podcast has always been where I process life out loud. It's where we have conversations about how life intersects with business and how we make room for our gifts, how we build intentionally without losing ourselves in the process. So, this season of the podcast is going to reflect all of that. Over the next several episodes, I'll be introducing a series that's rooted in the soul method. The soul method is based on lived experiences and the power of being in charge of our minds, because this is where it all starts. Everything that we want to do, we do it twice, first in our minds and then when we actually put our hands to work. We'll be talking all about starting something new, starting afraid, whether it's a new job, a new venture, whatever it is. Owning your story because your story matters, using what you have because we already have everything, and what leadership looks like when you stop hiding and start honoring who you're becoming. And so, in this series, each episode will be standalone, but it will also be a part of the big picture and the big story about clarity, about courage, visibility, building with intention, and leading with purpose. The book, Unmute Yourself, is now available on Kindle and on my website. I will leave all the links in the show notes. We even have the advanced readers review coming in already, and the feedback we're getting so far tells me that this book is doing exactly what it was intended to do. You will see yourself in the stories, and I think you're going to love it. As we get into this season, I want to invite you to read the book. And I would genuinely love to hear what resonates with you once you've had time to sit with it, because there will be a lot of aha moments. That is me, that was me, that could be me. So my friends, it's a wrap. Thank you for listening and keep doing all the things until next time. You've been listening to the Creative Business Mindset podcast. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you for listening and keep doing all the things until next time.